Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. Now, doing a quick video from my house because couldn't get into the office today. Well, had the day off. But there's a lot of stuff going on out there about Will Fuller and Jarvis Landry potentially coming to Cleveland. So I figured let's just whip something together and get it out to you guys because if the Browns make another big move, we're going to be breaking it down here on the channel, of course. And I like the idea of trying to either bring back Jarvis Landry, right? Didn't want to leave Cleveland necessarily, but Browns had to save $15 million, and I think Landry is much more interested in coming back to the team right now with Deshaun Watson at the QB spot. And then there's the other free agent out there, Will Fuller, a name that I haven't talked about much as we entered free agency, and I did a bunch of videos of free agent targets, wide receivers. I left him off somewhat intentionally because I've preached on this before. If you're not available, what good are you to the team? And unfortunately for Fuller, he's never been able to stay healthy in his career. That's been the biggest knock against him, is always the injuries. They just pile on. This past season in Miami, first year with the Dolphins after getting, I think, traded. Just couldn't stay healthy. Had that wrist injury, had a finger injury, and then just kind of weird stuff like that, and just kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. I'm not really sure, but at the end of the day, he only played, I think 2 games? 3 games? Something like that. So with that in mind, let me ask this question early on. Which receiver would you rather have? Jarvis Landry or Will Fuller? Put their name, put their initials down in the comment section below. Let me know which of those 2 receivers, if you had to pick one, because I think the cost would be somewhat similar. Landry maybe costs like an extra $1 million, something like that. But let's just call it even, right? Which one would you rather have? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to lean, this is a kind of a heart versus mind battle for me, right? You want to bring Juice back. You want him to be with the Browns when hopefully they're really going to start cooking with gas and go deeper into the playoffs with Deshaun Watson. But Will Fuller may be the smarter pick, a little younger than Jarvis Landry. I think he's like 22 years younger. So, I mean, we're not talking about a decade or something like that. But he's also got the connection, right? And something I should have mentioned off the top of the show really was that Will Fuller and Deshaun Watson clearly overlapped for quite some time in Houston, and the two of them created a deep ball connection, and I'm guessing they want to recreate that. I mean, Watson was very unhappy at the end there in Houston for a handful of reasons, and he probably wasn't thrilled when they traded his buddy Will to Miami. So I'm going to pull up the stats here. I don't have all the graphics. We're going to talk about this more in detail tomorrow when I'm in the studios. But looking at what Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller did together in Houston in that 2020 season where Watson led the NFL in passing, in 11 games, 879 yards and 8 touchdowns. So if that's a full 16-game season back then, we're looking at, I'm not going to crunch the numbers, but ballparking it here, 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns, right? Something in that neighborhood. Now, that's great in theory if you can get 16, now 17 games out of Will Fuller, but we can't positively say, oh, it'll be different this upcoming season. He's going to get healthy over. That's what I love about the offseason. It's just something about when it's offseason, you just toss him. He's going to get healthy over the offseason, as if like your body knows, oh, it's March, like I can heal now. So it's just like a weird fallacy us sports fans have of over the offseason. Everyone gets like tip-top shape, like it's a video game and your health just restores. But let me know, right? Between those 2 guys, who you rather have? Landry coming off a bad season. And it's not all on Jarvis Landry, but he unfortunately did miss games for the first time in his career due to injury. And that's something that factors into GM's decisions. And Fuller also missed games. So kind of even in that department. But Landry a little older in his career and older in knee injuries. That's just, that's tough for a GM to wrap their head around. So I think Barry's going to look at this, but trying to find a balance of heart versus mind. Maybe a little more upside on Will Fuller. And you just got Deshaun Watson. I know you don't have to bend over backwards for him, especially when you gave him $230 million guaranteed. But he probably would be pretty pumped if you also brought over an old buddy of his from Houston. I think those are just the kind of things of starting a good relationship with your new franchise quarterback as a GM and a head coach. You go, you know what? We're also so happy to have you here. We're going to bring Will Fuller over on. We're going to sign him. That way, you've got your guy. So if either Fuller or Landry want to take a bit of a, I don't know if it's a pay cut, but want to take maybe more of a team-friendly deal to pair up with Watson and really go on a Super Bowl run, I'd be all for it. I mean, if the consolation prize is the other guy and the Browns only get one of the two, I don't see how they can get both of them. But whichever one they get, I'll be excited about it, right? This is a win-win situation in my mind. Also, if you're watching this for the first time, coming across the channel for the first time, please make sure you subscribe. That way you never miss breaking news. When Baker Mayfield gets traded, you know we're going to be putting things together and out there for you, everyone watching at home. So make sure you're subscribed. This is not what it usually looks like. If you're like, why would I ever want to subscribe to watch someone do a video from their bedroom? Well, girlfriend's doing laundry, so it's pretty loud out there, so I couldn't do it out there. But usually we got a whole bunch of bells and whistles and graphics to accompany with it. Watch a previous video, you'll get a snapshot out of it. And if you already are subscribed, you're probably wondering for the first time, why am I not wearing a polo? It's laundry day. That's why. I got my t-shirt on. All right, so that's my little sub-read right there. Let's get back on track a little bit, and let's continue the conversation of Landry versus Fuller. And like I said, let me know in the comments who you'd rather have. And to go, we talked a little bit about Fuller there. Let's talk a little about Jarvis Landry now. Like I said, coming off that poor injury-riddled season, but maybe this is a 29-year-old receiver. And a good measuring tool that I saw on Twitter a couple weeks ago when it was still up in the air whether or not Landry would get released was, would you have an issue if Jarvis Landry signed with the Steelers, with the Ravens, with the Bengals, whatever team you hate the most in the North? That's a good question you should ask yourself. If the answer is, no, I'd have no issue with it, then he's probably, you think, at least done being a productive receiver in the NFL. If it's, oh, I don't know how I'd feel about seeing him on a Steelers team because I think he could burn us, then that's like it's like the quarter test, you know, where heads we do this, tails we do this, and if you flip and you want to flip again, then you know what you really want. And I think it's the same kind of rule here where if you are a little unsure about Jarvis Landry being on a team you have to face twice a season, then you're probably not over him. You probably want to find a way to bring him back. And it would be awesome for him because I talked about how Baker Mayfield was such an instrumental part of helping the Browns get rid of all the old skeletons of losing and factory of sadness and whatnot, but he was not alone. And I didn't intend for it to come across that it was Baker and everyone else was just on the sidelines. No, there were a lot of key pieces, all right? Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, but Jarvis too. And Jarvis, I think, was probably more instrumental in getting the Browns to a point where they had a culture of winning, right? And not just winning once in a blue moon, but striving for success and greatness from before training camp started. That was something Landry really instilled in the Cleveland Browns was we don't start work when everyone else does, right? It's like that old motivation speech, right? If you're sleeping when your opponent's awake and working at it, you're falling further behind. So Landry was that kind of guy, right? We know what Juice has done for the Browns. So it would be awesome to see him come back and team up. Not that Baker was awful for him, but I mean they had good, he had good years at Cleveland, no doubt about it. But you really kick into a higher gear if you got him Deshaun Watson. All right, to wrap up the video, I just want to ask this one last question. Grade the Browns' free agency so far. Give it a letter grade, A, B, C, D, or F. Include all the signings, all the trades. I know that Watson and I probably should, dive more into it, but I don't really know how to tackle that. But Watson's going to come with a lot of baggage. There's no doubt about that. That shouldn't be just excommunicated and completely removed from the script. But if you like the move, it's an easy A. If you hate the move, and I wouldn't blame you for it, it's understandable, it's an easy F. This is going to be a wide cast of votes. Let me know in the comments below. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Browns Report today. We're going to sign off, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow with more of your usual video from the studio. So until then, go Browns.